We're back at it.
And it's warm in here. It's, hence the golf shirts today.
Well, we're shaking it up, We just, this is what we do. We have to shake things up a little bit, and it is very hot out today. I think it is July.
It's kind of a backward summer because it's rainy on the weekends and then really nice during the weekdays, which is not how I'd want to plan out my summer.
No, it's like we live in Vancouver now.
Yeah, basically.
So that's really, been interesting. And what else do we have going on?
Lately, well, it's halfway through the year. So for all those business owners, hopefully you're hitting your targets and having the best 6 months of your year. We've been, then you reflect on what changes I'm going to make for the next 6 months. Do I need to make additional changes? I know that fitness has been a big thing for you this year. I know it's been a big thing for me this year. We were just talking about this with my wife the other day. We were talking about what's been big in the past. What's the biggest change you've made in the past year? For me personally, one of the biggest things, just spending more time looking after myself, and that's been really impactful. I know that's been really impactful for you too.
Well, I've had I had the fortunate opportunity to have an introduction to, arguably, without blowing smoke up Nick's ass here, I think it's arguably probably been one of the best all-around fitness experiences I've had, and I've been working out probably since I was like 17.
Yeah.
And it's been absolutely incredible, and I love the experience, the atmosphere, the people, and it's just really, I love the structure, and it's worked really well for me, and it's been wonderful. And so, it has helped my golf game. It has helped my golf.
Probably helps everything, right? I mean, I think it's you sleep better, you feel better, you show up more energized, you're probably more present for your family. We talk about that kind of stuff a lot on this podcast with different people, but I think you're showing up far better in different ways. And you're right, the golf game is certainly just improved, and it's been showing because the last game you did beat me, so.
It was an exchange of funds.
Yeah.
It was an exchange of funds that has happened, but it's gone both ways.
In all fairness, I did win the last one before that, but
yeah, you did. Yeah. No. Well, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest today, and so we have Nick Haince with us today, who was born in Golden, BC, raised in London, Ontario. Attended the University of Ottawa, and studied human kinetics. Nick is the founder and owner of Capital Strength, established in 2015. Nick has been in the industry for 17 years and has worked with a wide range of ages, abilities, injuries, and levels of sport. He has helped develop hundreds of local amateur, college, and professional hockey athletes throughout his career. He has the honor of guiding many athletes from AAA to pro hockey. He is very proud of his team of coaches and clinicians and the community they get to work with every day. As a kinesiologist, he has successfully worked with and rehabbed several post-surgery patients, including knee replacements, hip replacements, ACL reconstructions, shoulder and hip labrum surgeries. Totally screwed that one up.
Doesn't sound good.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Nick now spends most of his time working on the business side of the gym and the clinic at Capital Strength, guiding his team of 11 coaches and clinicians. Capital Strength is in its 9th year of business and has built a reputation for its incredible community and its passionate coaches and clinicians who thrive on helping people live their lives to their fullest. He's an avid golfer, fellow Greyhawk member, happily married with 2 very young children, 4 and 1. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
This is awesome. That's a really stellar background, too. You've done a lot of things in a short amount of time.
Yeah, it's gone by very quickly, but I do feel a sense of accomplishment for the last 17 years. And if I was to go back 17 years ago and think where I'd be, this is not where I think I would have been, but I wouldn't change a thing, and I'm very proud of everything that I've done for myself. Yeah.
So how did it really come to be? Like how you got out of university and you said, I'm gonna open a gym.
No, not at all. When I got to university,
Just like that.
yeah, no, not at all. No, not at all. I got to university. I mean, human kinetics. Obviously, I thought I'd do something with the body after. I really just picked human kinetics because I like sports. I really enjoyed biology and kinesiology in high school. And it was kind of like the passion. I mean, all the subjects to pick from, it seemed like the funnest one. So that's what got me there. When I got there, I thought, physiotherapy might be my thing. I did some volunteer work in my first year in the physio department and quickly learned that, I don't think this is going to be for me. So I was kind of left confused there. I thought about teaching for a bit, but then didn't end up taking the prerequisites to get into teacher's college. So I kind of missed that boat. And then in your fourth year, you either do a research project or you do a placement. And, research wasn't really my thing. I wasn't really an academic. I enjoyed school, but I was never like a straight A student or anything like that. So research definitely didn't turn me on. So I thought I'd do a placement. And I guess going back to middle of my university career, I started personal training. I took a weekend course, got into training because I fell in love with working out while at university. That's kind of when I started, when I was 18. Loved working out, loved the human body, loved learning about programming and how to get results and how to, build the body up. So I started working as a personal trainer in 2007. That's when my career started. And it was just an awesome job at the university. I got to pick my own hours. I could train a client between classes. Yep. It was directly related to what I was learning about. So it was right in my wheelhouse. And yeah, so that's where it started. So in my fourth year, I knew a guy who was a couple years older than me who was training the GG's hockey team at the time. He was also working at a place called the Ottawa Sport Performance Center. He used to train the 67s. They're over on Lancaster. And I was like, hey, do you think you could ask and see if I could do an internship there? I need to do a placement in my fourth year. Something like that would be really cool. Mm-hmm. So he got me an internship there. I did my 100 hours or whatever it was in fourth year. And when graduation came, I was still kind of what's next? What do we do next? I was like, well, the Ottawa Sport Performance Center offered me a job, if you spend 100 hours there of basically free training. Yeah. If you're good enough, they're going to hire you. You kind of become an asset, right? So I was lucky enough to get employed there and worked there from 2009 until 2015, I guess. That's kind of when we opened the gym. So there is when I really learned how to train athletes, because it wasn't really a general pop gym anymore, which is what I was used to at the Ottawa U gym, just professors and people of the community, some students. Those were kind of my clientele at the time. So training athletes was really a cool step up in the training world. I still didn't really know what I was going to do long term. I never really mentioned this to you guys earlier, but there was a time where I tried to get on with the police. Oh. Yeah, I applied OPP, Kingston Police, Ottawa Police, got through most of the stages, but at the time, they weren't really hiring, and I was unlucky. I didn't get on, but looking back, thank God I didn't get on. I sometimes look at myself and can you imagine what my life would be as a police officer? One, I don't really like taking orders from people. Hate to say it, but that's just the way I am. Mm-hmm. Okay, and maybe you guys can relate. That's why we're all in business.
That's why you're a business owner, right?
Yep.
Yep.
The shift work probably would have killed me. Now that my wife's a shift worker too, it would have been insane. And just with the climate out there, I just wouldn't want to be tangled up in some of the problems that those police officers tip my hat to all of them. But just looking back, and I'm glad that it didn't work out that way. But I was pretty devastated when I didn't get on. And I think that was kind of the turning point where I was like, okay, well, I'm not really getting any luck with the policing world. Here I am as a trainer, wasn't really sure what we were going to do next. And then me and two coworkers that I became very close friends with at the OSPC, Ottawa Sport Performance Center. I mean, we loved our job there. We got to work with a ton of awesome people, but we ended up being kind of the front runners of the business. The ownership there was more of a silent ownership. Mm-hmm. This was kind of like a hobby for the guys. And I think one was retired IT guy. The other one was working for IBM, so another IT guy. And yeah, we just kind of over time just felt a little unappreciated. Felt like, hey, like we were kind of running the business, but it wasn't really. We didn't really have any piece of the pie. So the three of us kind of just came together and said, like, hey, like, do you think we could do this on our own? And we made our little business plan and ran it by some business clients that we had at the time to make sure it was solid. And we didn't know a thing about business whatsoever. We were just trainers, right? We kind of knew how to run some stuff because that was the role that we kind of took. We were running the gym, filling the programs and whatnot. And we looked for some space, and we got really lucky that like 2 or 3 kilometers away from OSPC was a vacant gym that was actually, what was it at the time? It started as Twist Conditioning. You may remember the name. It was like a chain from BC, Peter Twist. And then it turned into Family Physio in that same building that we are in now. And the gym and the clinic, because there was a clinic there as well, they kind of bumped heads a little bit, and one reason or another, they needed to shut it down. So that space was vacant for like 8 or 10 months before we saw it. And when we saw it, it was like, holy cow, this is like way bigger than what we thought we would want to get into. We were looking for a 2,000 to 3,000 square foot space. This was almost 6,000.
Yep.
So it was a bit spooky, because we weren't really a business before. We all had to get personally guaranteed on the lease.
So fun.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, oh my God, can we do this? Like the pressure was on. And we did it. And we started off in spring, I think it was late March 2015. Kicked it off with our hockey program. Cash flow was good. Business was good. And yeah, I mean, the hope was to turn the clinic space into a clinic. At the time, we just had a massage therapist. So the clinic wasn't really a thing. It was just kind of an add-on of massage with our gym. And we did a lot of athletes at the time. That was kind of our bread and butter at the OSPC. So that's kind of where we started the gym business, as with athletes. And we started Capital Crew, but it was very small, and classes were like 5-6 people at a time. A busy class was like 10.
Right.
Now we've got classes of 20 with a wait list and stuff. So it's really changed over the years. But that's kind of the short story of where I started Ottawa U and Open Capital Strength. It was never really a planned move. Like I said, I tried to get out of the game and into policing, and it didn't work. That door closed and another one opened, and couldn't picture my life doing anything else. And honestly, I'm grateful every day for the life that I get to live and what I get to do, the people I get to work with, the team that I've built. And work doesn't feel like work. It's really just a passion and a pleasure. So yeah, I'm thankful to be where I am. And
Well, clearly lots of good things happening, right? There's, clearly lots of growth. And going back to kind of when you and your partners then had looked at that business and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. Because we were talking about this earlier about cycles of business and just how, business owners are, it's very similar for a lot of people. They have great wins and then some challenges. But going back to that time when you were kind of like saying, hey, we're going to sign this lease, do you think you guys fully understood all the bumps that were going to come your way?
Not even a chance. No.
Right.
Our biggest worry at the time was just like, how are we going to make money in the wintertime? Because the bread and butter of our business was like off-season hockey, right? April to August, we knew. And that's where like the timing of the move made sense. Like if we can open and start off with the summer, we'll build some good capital and we'll cruise into the winter and we'll have some time to figure it out. So we kind of got lucky with the space, the timing. Everybody basically followed us over to Capital Strength. And I don't have those partners anymore. So that's a story we can get into too if you guys want. But it was, I became a business owner. I never was one before. It really, like, I kind of learned my way through it and had to make mistakes and went through challenges, obviously. And now I consider myself pretty experienced in the gym business world, and am now actually working with a friend who, he has a fitness business too. It's more in the online coaching space, but he coaches coaches and how to kind of helps them become better coaches and business owners for their clientele. He does mostly one-on-one, like coaches that have one-on-one clients, but he's like, there's definitely a space for me to have you on as someone who can coach gym owners who have like a space and members to help improve their businesses. So that's kind of like the next chapter for me. Not saying I'm leaving Capital Strength or anything, but I'd like to add on an opportunity or a place for myself to help other gym owners, because I feel like I've got the recipe depending on your style of gym. And I think I have some experience to share and some advice to pass along. And I do like helping people and bringing people up. And now, you know, my true passion was helping clients for so long, and I'm still passionate about it. But now I love having the team and building up my team and my coaches and making them successful. And I'd love to be able to do that for other business owners too. So that will be something that I tackle in the next couple of years here, is trying to get into the coach the business owner world as well.
And so, starting out in business, for the people listening, you know, a lot of the times, you know, people see the top of the iceberg,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they don't see anything else. And so they see a facility, they see, oh, you know, you drive a nice vehicle or this or that, or, you know, generally materialistic things people are measuring you on, right? But when you first start out, like, you know, why don't you spend a minute or two just kind of talking about, you know, like, what was it that kept you guys up at night? What was your biggest stress? You know, like, obviously, you know, there was, you know, there was issues within your partnership that you had, you know, so there's stresses there. Like, what did you find was impacting you the most early on when somebody's saying, you know what, I'm going to get into business?
Yeah, so I think the first challenge that we were faced with as a group was, I mean, we got in there with our shareholders agreement. It was very kumbaya. It was just 33, 33, 33, because it was the easiest way to do it. We were all good buddies. It was like, let's do this together. We're all going to work equally as hard and make the same money, and, you know, it's all going to be great. And within probably the first like few months, you start to realize like, oh, like I'm kind of putting in a little bit more than this guy, and you know, this guy needs to pull his socks up, and you're like, this 33 thing really makes sense. And as time got on, things kind of became worse in that way, where it was like, I don't know if this is making sense as much anymore. And you know, so in terms of the partnership, like I had a guy who was 5 years older than me, and then a guy that was almost 5 years younger than me. So I was kind of in the middle. And I connected a lot more with the guy that was older than me, because at the time he had just gotten married, his first kid was on the way, and he was really trying to provide for his family. Where the younger guy had some other ambitions he was trying to follow and get into some real estate, and it kind of took him away from work.
Right.
So it became frustrating, where it was like, hey man, like we're still in the very early stages of this business, never mind your next business. Like we need you here now.
Yeah.
So, you know, by 2016 summer, so not even a year and a half later, we began the buyout process of, you know, trying to go from 3 partners to 2. And it was like, I don't know how, it was messy for us at the time, because, you know, he wasn't really willing to leave. So we had to go back and forth quite a bit. But it all kind of worked out, and there was some resentment for a while, but, you know, looking back, it was the best move that we had to, the only move that we had to make to continue the business in the right direction. And then in 2018, also summer, my other partner decided to leave on his own. It was very amicable, mutual. He just wanted to do something in fitness, but a bit more smaller scale. He didn't really want the big gym, the big team, didn't want to have to manage other people. Where for me, that was kind of where I felt myself thriving, is building the team and managing other people. And I also realized that, you know, got into business to have a business that can make me money when I'm not necessarily working, right? That's the whole point of being in the business. Yes. So for me, I thought I still had something really special. It was very intimidating for me, because, you know, we go back to 2015, I would have never done it by myself. I never would have taken the risk on myself. I don't think I had the, you know, looking back, I wish I would have, but I never would have had the balls to do it. So 2018 was a scary time for me. We were 3 years in, and I went from 3 partners down to just myself as a sole owner. And yeah, at that point, that's where I realized, like, I can't be working in the business as much as I am. I need to be able to step back, relinquish some duties, some responsibilities, some coaching, so that I can make sure that this ship is going in the right direction. So, you know, the earlier struggles were, the partnership kind of fallouts and the change in structure there. And then it was, you know, just figuring out how I'm going to make this thing like a place where I can make money and not have to be there. I was opening the gym at 6 a.m. I was living in Stittsville at the time, so my alarm clock would go off at like 4:15. I'd be at the gym for 5:15. I'd eat my breakfast and start the day. And we were doing personal training and classes throughout the day. And then at nighttime, we'd have our teams in, which we still do, but the teams would keep me there till 8, 9, or 10 o'clock at night. So in the early stages, I was doing like 16-hour days, driving back to Stittsville at 10, get to bed by 11. Alarm clock was going back off at 4 in the morning. And a lot of those drives to work and from work, early or late, I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? Yeah. Like, how do I raise a family? How do I keep a marriage? How does this become somewhere where I can make money and not just like be there all the fucking time?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's some drives home with my accountant. Yeah, there's some drive homes with my accountant. I'm like, dude, what am I doing? Where's this going? I just kept, getting up in the morning and just kept putting one foot in front of the other. The thing that kept me going was I didn't want to fail. Yeah. I didn't want to shut it down. I didn't want to wave the white flag. And it was my baby. It was my thing. It was my business. I had too much pride to just like let it fall to pieces. So I just, like I said, kept putting one foot in front of the other. Was getting some good people my way in terms of employees and stuff, and there was some light at the end of the tunnel, and things were going well, and business was growing, and the people that I had hired were starting to get busy, so that was kind of helping bring more money in, and I could see where this was going. And then that was probably like around 2019 where I was like, hey, like things are on a good path here. And my goal in the beginning, when it was kind of getting, I guess, dark and scary, was like, just get to the end of the 5-year lease and then let's just reevaluate. Like, just get to the end of the 5-year lease. So we get to the 5-year lease and I'm ready to sign another one. And I'm not even kidding you. I think a week after I signed the next 5-year lease, COVID happened.
Jesus. Man.
COVID happened and I had to close the gym. Yeah. Right. And we were on Instagram. I was watching all these other gyms like close kind of ahead of time, being like, oh, we're gonna close and like curve the whatever the wave and curve the strain and we're gonna wait it out 2 weeks. And I was like, I'm not fucking closing until I'm told to close. Yeah. And there was some some bad looks from some people like, oh, why are you not closing? Everyone else is closing. I'm like, I'm not closing my gym. Like, I'm not closing this is my life. Like, I'm not closing it. And I think like a week later, that's when Doug Ford announced like everyone's got to shut down. And it's like, wow, if I hadn't had enough stress and stuff keeping me up at night already, like this is
right over the edge.
Oh, right over the edge. So I called some other business friends. I had a buddy who had just opened a dentist clinic, and he's like, man, I don't fucking, because those guys were closed too at the time. They were not really deemed essential just yet. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I just built like $1 million clinic. Like, fuck, what am I going to do? And I'm like, I don't know, bud, let's just kind of stick together here and fight through and see what happens. And, open and closure. It was scary. But then, government programs started coming out. So there's a little bit of stress relief there. My landlord was amazing to me. He just kind of told me like, listen, one way or another, we'll get you through this. Like, don't worry about it. Yeah. And I had gym owner buddies in other cities where their landlords were like, tough luck, pal. You can't pay. Fuck you. Basically, find a way or you're out of here. Yeah. So I was really fortunate and thankful that I had someone who was more on my team and, helped me see it through. And it was funny. Every time we reopened, there was such a surge for fitness because everyone was doing home workouts, that like we would just get like a little bit busier and then we'd shut down. And then we'd open again and we'd get a little bit busier and we shut down. And then we, like, the momentum just kind of kept coming every time we would reopen. We would just gain another bit of business because I think people were sick of doing, like, I'll book my 1 hour at Good Life and it's a shit show in there and I can't do the workout I want to because there's a million people and sharing stations is impossible with COVID and the 6-foot distancing and the spraying of the equipment and all that stuff. So for us to have a place where you could show up, you don't have to think about your workout. You're in and out in an hour. You got a great workout. We were maybe a little bit more money than your average Good Life from Ovati, but I think the value was there, right? The value for the price was there. So when we finally reopened, I don't know, I guess 2022, maybe spring or winter, I think it was like the last lockdown we came out of, we really started to hum, and the clinic side of the gym started to build too. And I think, the community started to grow, our reputation started to grow, and I was able to pick up some clinicians. So the clinic side was growing too, and everything was starting to really come around. So we're in our 9th year, coming up on the end of our 2nd lease, and there's definitely going to be a 3rd, and I'm looking to expand the upstairs to incorporate more clinic space, because that's really a thriving part of the business right now. You got an amazing team of coaches, an amazing team of clinicians. We all get along great. We're all roughly the same age. Everyone's super passionate about what they do. Everyone loves their place of work, and that's kind of where like my focus, I think, changed in 2018. I read this book, The E-Myth. It's basically the story is about a baker and how she bakes these great pies, and how her business is awesome, but she can't keep up with making all these pies herself. Like, she's just running the business, making the pies, she's doing everything in the business. And the story really goes back to like how she had to teach someone to make the pies as good as her, so that she could work on the business and open up other shops and have the business grow, and basically just like learn the difference between working in your business and on your business. And I was in my business too much at the front lines, and I had to step back, and that was nervous. That was like a nervous thing for me, because like everyone was coming for Nick.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I replace myself? And
Yeah.
I started to just slowly trust the staff and try to train them up and build them up. And over time, it just got better, and less people were asking for Nick, and more people are just happy with Capital Strength.
Yep.
And getting out of the pandemic, I hired a few other people, and that's where I was able to kind of step back even more. I spent a lot of time working on the business throughout the pandemic, kind of re-strategizing, learning where we were kind of weak, and where we could gain some more people, and where we could grow. And that's where I really kind of took myself off the floor. As much as I was training, 40, 50 hours a week, and then trying to do the business stuff on top of that. I probably had 70-hour weeks for close to 4 or 5 years. And then COVID happened, and it kind of forced me to get off the floor and really work on the business. Like, every day I was on my computer just figuring out like, how are we going to navigate the next closure and the next opening, with all the restrictions and the rules, and only 10 people. Like, our gym's pretty big. Like, to have only 10 people in that space was just like
Crazy.
It's crazy. So I will say that going through COVID actually made our business better. We had to improve our systems, improve our client management software stuff. We were very pen and paper. I mean, again, I wasn't a business guy in the beginning, so we had some archaic ways of doing things. The first few years, COVID made us kind of just optimize our business systems on the inside, and things started to shape up. And I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe I can do this. And it wasn't long after COVID, or maybe towards the tail end of it, that I got into like the financial planning world too, because like I could see it going in the right direction, and I'm a pretty organized guy when it comes to most things in life, especially finance, but I didn't really see where it could take me. And then I got together with my investment guy, my lawyer, and I got a new accountant, and the four of us came together to kind of make my life plan.
Right.
And I want to say that was 2 or 3 years ago, and it changed my life.
Yeah.
It gave me direction. It gave me a plan. I'm very plan oriented. Even in the gym, like, everyone runs off programs, and you get to the end of this one, you can see the results, and you can see where it's taking you. And so to have like a plan made for my finances, and for me, it was like, okay, I can do this. Like, there's structure in place. Just follow this plan, and you'll get from A to B. And B looked really great. They made B look really great for me, better than I ever would have expected. Like, it kind of pumped my tires a bit, and I was like, hey, the business is good. It's cash positive. We were debt free, still are. And it just kind of gave me some confidence in what I was doing, because before that I was like, I'm not a fucking business guy. Like, my business is making money, but I don't know where to take this.
Right.
So getting together with those guys and setting kind of the future plan for myself really put everything into perspective, and gave me some peace of mind. Like, what was keeping me up at night? Mostly finance stuff for a long, long time.
I think that's pretty common, right? I think for money is, it's a love-hate relationship for most, right? And it's a challenge at times, and so it kind of, I really wanted to kind of highlight the similarities, with a health and fitness plan, a financial plan, building a house plan, building a business plan. Like, it goes to show you that you need to plan to execute, right? You
100%.
can't, because if you run around with your head cut off and do these ad hoc things, you're going to make mistakes. You're not to say that you're not going to make mistakes with a plan, but at least you have direction, you have some accountability there. You have, and so we kind of we pride ourselves on promoting planning for people, right?
It's like, if I can tell any business owner out there that's struggling or lost, it's like, get your financial plan in place. It will give you peace of mind. It will give you direction, and it will give you something to follow.
Sure.
Like it put away so much stress for me. Not only did I trust the guys, but I trust the plan. It made sense to me. It was realistic. And from that kind of moment on, that was a kind of a nice turning point in my career. I felt comfortable doing what I was doing, and I felt like I could get to the end goal of a comfortable retirement where I could take care of my family and my kids.
Yep.
And
Kind of breaks it down and makes it tangible. Like Corey mentioned earlier, this tip of the iceberg, and I think that's everyone's guilty of that. Like you look at whether it's a business owner that's successful, you think, oh wow, that's must be nice.
Yeah.
Or you look at even someone who's just fitness level is through the roof. People don't see the work that's involved there. Like they don't see the accountability that person's had to have for 4 or 5 years of making sure they're at the gym, eating properly, making good decisions. And do I eat that hamburger at McDonald's, or do you have a better, healthier diet program? They just don't see those decisions, but that person has to commit to those the same way as for your financial plan. You're like, hey, I've got a plan. I know where I want to go. I know what I want the end result to be, and I'm willing to make these choices along the way, right? And that ties right, like this financial fitness comparison is.
It's a very comparable kind of thing. Like it's a program that you follow to get results at the end, right?
You have
to improve your performance or improve your financial landscape, whatever it is. They're very intertwined, and I think that's where it made sense to me. I was like, okay, well, this is just kind of like following like a workout plan. Like these guys are my coaches. I'm the trainee. I'll follow what they say. And, I think in all aspects of life, there's always some coaching that you can take from someone to be better at something, whether it's fitness or whether it's diet or whether it's marriage or finance. Like you're never too good to have a coach. And I think for myself, I was like, I never got a business coach, but I got into a lot of, book reading and podcast listening in like 2018 to 2020. So I was like, I need to learn more about how to run this thing better. So I dove into a lot of just like reading and podcasting and try to learn from the people who have had success. And then you learn about their challenges, and there's like comparisons and parallels. Like, oh, fuck, I struggle with that too. And I made a lot of improvements along the way. And, what was once like a big cloud over my head is now more of a kind of a rainbow. And and now my goal is just to try to make everyone who works for me happy, successful. My entire life now revolves around making my workplace so good that no one wants to leave and everyone's having a great time working there.
Culture is so important.
It's so important, and it's really been I can say the one thing that's brought us to where we are today. It's just like focusing on the people that work for you, making sure that their life is great. Do what you can to build them up and to coach them up and to get them successful, because if they're successful, then you're going to be successful too. And that's how I've attracted the coaches that I have and the clinicians that I have. It's just I've made it a great place to be, and it's been like kind of like my guiding my thing, and I still stick by that. And it's taken us from 2015 to here, and it will take us from here to wherever the end is, So
what's your favorite podcasts? And then you talked a lot about your culture and then how you like to make it a good place. But what are you actually doing from a leadership style to make it special?
Well, first, I guess favorite podcast. I used to do a lot of fitness business stuff, and now I like the Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett. He just talks to other business owners, kind of like you guys, just hear about their stories and struggles. Big fan of Joe Rogan.
Yep.
Big fan of Joe Rogan. He just has a nice wide variety of guests on
Does
there.
he ever? Yeah.
Yeah. There's the human, the optimal human, or the something like that. Ultimate Human. It's Dr. Brecka, I'm pretty sure it is. Again, just like how to optimize your life. how to optimize your health. Huberman's great too. Andrew Huberman.
Huberman's great.
Yeah, so just things to like optimize my health, my business, and just some fun stuff along the way. They're kind of the podcast that I spend my time listening to now. And the other question was like, what do I do to
Yeah,
lead?
because you're saying it's obviously creating a very special dynamic at work.
Yeah.
But from a leadership style, like, what are you doing to make that an impactful place to work?
Yeah, I think just like giving everybody a lot of attention, helping them out and meeting them where they're at. Because the nice thing about my story is like I was there. Like I was working from 6 till 10, or trying to take on any work that I could to keep myself busy, keep my business busy. So like I understand where some of the younger coaches are in terms of like trying to make a go of this, right? So trying to help them become business owners of them, because they all kind of represent their own brand in a way as well, and trying to make them understand that you're creating your own reputation, you're creating your own brand, you have a network that you can tap into too, and try to make everybody a bit more businessy, because for every coach and clinician that I have working for me, none of them came from a business background. All of them came from just the trade that they're from.
Right.
And none of those trades do you ever learn about business or marketing, or trying to scale yourself. So trying to lend a hand in those departments and helping them grow their own businesses within my business is kind of where most of my leadership time is spent. Just pumping their tires and making work feel like a great place. I do a lot of team outings and a lot of community stuff to bring the team together and to create that dynamic. I tried to lead by example. Things have changed for me a little bit since having kids. Like I'm not the guy who's there every morning at 6, but I'm trying to constantly show them that I'm still just working just as hard, doing other things for the business. I'm not on the floor as much, but they see me working back there, and they see the improvements in the gym and like how the gym has evolved since they've all been there. I've got some staff that have been there almost 9 years. I think the most recent staff that we've hired has been there 3 years. So like the retention's really good at Capital, and most people don't leave. And that's kind of my goal, is to, like I said, make it a place that they come to work and then they realize that like the grass is greener here, right? And it's not going to be greener somewhere else. So, yeah, just trying to be the best boss that I can and provide the best workplace possible, so that it's fun, that it's not stressful, that it's a place where you can grow and make more money and become a better coach or a better clinician. And yeah, it's just, I am in the business of making people happy and busier and successful. And that's kind of where my strengths are now, is less coaching and more coaching my coaches, my guiding my team. So just, always looking to find ways to make my business better, whether it's, systems or, adding pieces of equipment or technology in the gym. I'm always open to learning how to be a better business owner and a better coach and a better leader to those that work for me. So,
well, I can definitely attest that, the people that, the coaches that you have working there, they really do care, and they really are happy to be there. I know everybody has shit mornings and shit days and stuff's going on.
yeah.
All your people, they throw the switch,
Yeah.
and they do what needs to be done. And, again, it's really heartwarming to go there. I'm excited to be there. I find it so, there's therapy in just being there, right?
Yeah.
You get
Positive environment, right? You just feel re-energized.
Totally is,
By
right?
the workout, by the people, by the space. Like,
There's no intimidation factor, even when there's like, these crazy exercise routines that you're looking at. It doesn't matter whether the guy beside you is 60 plus years of age, or you got some young hot shot that's 20 or whatever. Everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's working through it.
Yeah.
And everybody like, high fives and fist pumps and got through it and did this. And
That's
it's,
it.
So you're definitely have created, a super positive environment and culture for your people to succeed, right? Like it's, I have yet to see really have a negative experience or something go, offside there, right? And so you're definitely doing the right things there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And yeah, the culture I think is a big thing, like trying to set the culture and try to create the environment, and you just kind of keep chipping away at those two things, and it kind of organically just happens. Like we attract good people, like yourself. I'm not sure how you even landed at the
It
gym,
was
Corey.
a client of mine.
Okay, so there you go.
Referred
right?
me because I was like, you know what? I was one of those guys going to Movati. I was at the Auto Athletic Club forever,
spot.
until it all fell apart,
Yeah.
right? And so it was, and then it fell apart, during COVID, and
Yeah.
and then it was like, I don't really want to go. What I always found, and I think it's the same for everybody, if you're going to work out on your own, you got to figure out your workout, and you're going to look at your phone, and you're going
That's
to,
it.
oh, I'm going to do this program, I'm going to follow this, and then you already have your phone.
Yeah.
So,
then you're
there's
texting,
a
you're checking
message,
your
and
emails.
then
Yeah.
there's this, and then there's that, right? And so it was like a really, refreshing thing that I didn't have to think. You really shouldn't have your phone on in
No.
that
Space, yeah.
space, in my opinion. And you're there. It's 60 minutes, go.
That's it. And that's kind of, when people come in, they're like, tell me about your gym. And it's like, well, I mean, we're nothing fancy, but we've got an amazing community here that you'll likely get along with. It'll empower you. The energy and the environment is just like energizing immediately as soon as you walk in, right? The colors, the lights, the music, everything is just kind of hitting the right spot there. And you're going to be in and out. Great workout, way more work done in that 60 minutes here than you would get anywhere else.
100%.
Sure, we're a little bit more than your Movati or your athletic club or your Good Life, but you've got a coach working with you. He's going to help you through some of the problems or challenges that you have within the workout. We like to try to tailor it to everybody's experience and background. And like you said, you've got the 20-year-old hotshots, you've got the 60 plus.
Yeah.
Definitely more towards the 20-year-old hotshots these days. I think our average age is probably like 30, maybe low 30s. Which is cool, right?
I'm
It's
definitely
a lot of young professionals, but what keeps everybody.
I'm definitely one of the older guys, right? It's
but you still keep up with the young guys really well.
I'm trying.
Corey still keeps up with the young guys. But it's a place where you're going to meet like-minded people, because who else is getting up at 6 or 7 in the morning to come and work out?
Yeah.
Someone who takes care of themselves, someone who prioritizes fitness, someone who is trying to get better every day, someone who has goals in mind, who wants to be successful, right? So it's like right away you get in there, you're going to connect with these people because they're all here for the same reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really feel like we do some marketing here and there, a little bit of Instagram, Facebook, Google optimization, but a lot of our business, like any good business, is word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yeah.
So how do you get over the pain points? Because clearly when we do back that out, like kind of comparison between fitness and financial, the pain points are similar. Like for us, in the financial world, the people that are in our program or our system for, let's say, a few years, well, they're going to have great successes and they're going to be long-term clients.
Mm-hmm.
But the pain point is getting someone to commit to, saving and wealth building for a 2 or 3 year period, because the challenge will be if they have pain points along the way, they might just abandon whatever plan they had. And I'm sure fitness is the same, that all of a sudden because the people that most need your fitness programs, or that, we're talking about best case scenario, someone that's being a long-time client, the ones that get it because they're goal oriented, they're very well disciplined. You don't have to preach to the choir.
No.
But the ones that really most need this are probably the ones that are going to say, oh, I want to do this. And then in the first 30 days or 60 days, 90 days, they come out 5 times and they stop.
Yeah.
So, you're a father of a young family. You know what it's like trying to work-life balance. And all. So what are the biggest challenges you see in someone coming in, trying to adopt, and then what do you recommend? Like, what are you going to say, hey, here's what I'm going to recommend to you. Like, put in your calendar, 2 in the morning. Like, what's your best situation here?
It's funny. Like, I feel like people who come to us have probably struggled working out on their own for a bit, or they need something new, or they finally have reached a plateau and they know they need to change something. So we're very rarely, like, we get people like the ones you're mentioning, but I feel like those people, once they come and do like one class, they're like, holy shit, like, I've never done anything like this.
Right.
Like, this is super motivating. Like this, I can do this. Like this isn't too intimidating for me. You guys can scale it for me. So, and with the nature of it being, it's a membership for classes. It'd be like, you know, Corey paying for his membership at Greyhawk, but never going. It's like, you want to get your money's worth. And when you book a class, that's your accountability to kind of show up, because it's like, I'm paying for this thing. So I feel like our structure kind of gets people in the door, and it doesn't take long for them to make it just a part of their routine. Like everybody that we have is kind of a lifestyle member. They're not doing it for a vacation. Like, I need to get in shape for my vacation, or, you know, we have the odd people who maybe go from classes to personal training because they have a wedding coming up and they want to get just a little bit more dialed in. We'll get things like that, or people who start with personal training because they're so fresh in fitness, they're so green that they want the guidance. So they're going to pay for the extra to make sure that they learn the ropes the right way, and then they'll migrate into classes. But I think everyone that comes to Capital, for the most part, they come there because it's something that they want to make part of their lifestyle. And we make it a really great spot for it to kind of fit their schedule, because we have a lot of different classes. You're going to meet people there. A lot of people work from home now and don't get that social, right? So like, we're checking off several boxes where it's like you're getting your mental health fix of the day. Like, you feel great coming out. As hard as that workout was this morning, you come out and you're like, fuck yeah, I feel amazing. I just crushed that thing. Got the beautiful day out here. So like, you're getting your mental health fix. You're getting your social, right? You're getting to socialize with people. You make friends. You're getting your fitness out of it. You know, you're doing better for your body. So it's like, we're checking a few boxes. We're not just fitness. We're a little bit more than that. And I feel like that's what keeps people coming. And, you know, we have like 2 free trials, and it's so often that people will come and try one class, and it's like, hey, how do I sign up?
Yeah.
Right. So like, the conversion's very high. And because it's mostly word of mouth, you're coming because you've probably heard really good things about it from someone you trust.
Sure.
A family member, a friend, maybe it's a coworker or a client. Like, I've heard really good things. I want to come and try it out. And we put on such a good product and service that if you've been around the gym world a little bit, you're like, okay, this is different and this is better. And we kind of get them there. So yeah, our 3 times a week membership is kind of probably our most sold product there in the class world, because 3 times a week is manageable in someone's schedule. We've got 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So, I mean, whether you work late or shifts or whatever, we can usually find a class for you. We have classes 6 days a week. So there's really no excuse to get the results. You just got to show up. You really just got to show up, because the rest takes care of itself once you enter the building.
Yeah, get your foot in the door, right?
Get your foot in the door, and it's such a awesome place to be. That it's, like I said, usually you try one class, you're like, okay, this is a lot different than anything else I've tried. The community's great, the energy's great, the workouts are great. What else are you looking for? You know, what else are you really looking for? So, and it's so cool. Like, I've seen people, so many friendships. I've seen some relationships built, some friendships built, some really long-term friendships built. And some of the guys in the morning classes, like, they didn't know each other prior to joining, and now one's like a best man in the other guy's wedding. Right? Wow. So it's like really like cool stuff happening inside the walls, other than just fitness. It's really just a community. We have a video that's in the making here. I should get it back from my marketing guy soon. But in one of the interviews of members, they said, I think, how do you sum up Capital Strength? And one of the guys said, it's a social club that likes to work out. Because we do lots of social events, you know, golf tournament and this kind of thing, and it is like a kind of a social club. So you're getting your money's worth and more when you join. Rarely do we have people come and try it out and it's like, oh, this isn't for me. I've had, I think, one person in 9 years say, the community here sucks. No one's friendly. And I'm thinking, I didn't argue with this person. I said, I'd be happy to give you your money back.
When there's hundreds of people that get along and you're the only person.
I'm just like, you know what? I can't agree with what you're saying, but I'm more than happy to give you your money back.
One of these things is not like the other.
That's it. So, you know what? Like,
happens.
Once in 9 years, we've had that happen. But yeah, the reviews are much more the other way around. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's it's great. We don't struggle with keeping people too often. If people leave, it's usually because they're moving across town, or, you know, they got a new job where maybe the schedule doesn't work. But the schedule works, then you're usually in it for a while.
And it helps your golf game.
And it helps your golf game.
Everything's about
Helps
that.
every, it
I
helps
was
every-
joking with her. I'm doing tennis lessons with my wife. I'm doing salsa lessons with my wife.
helps your golf game.
All those, all the above.
Especially the tennis.
So I keep saying this is all helping my golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people find it helps other parts of their life, like you said, whether it's productivity at work, like you're getting to work more energized now.
Yeah.
You sleep better at night. You're showing up better for your family, for your wife, for your spouse, whatever it is. It just makes you better. So there's a lot of positives there, and proud that we can be that place. Because like I said, we started off with athletes, and now we're kind of more in the general public space. And from a business standpoint, much more sustainable that way. Athletes come for 4 months of the year. At some point they retire, they get injured, they stop playing sports. So we kind of quickly learned in the first couple of years, like, at least I did, like the money is going to be with the general public who treat fitness like a part of their lifestyle or like a chore, like brushing your teeth. You brush your teeth twice a day. I go to the gym 3 times a week. It's just part of my life.
Yep.
It's in my budget. People that have retired, it's like part of their fixed expenses. It's like I take care of myself in the gym. And honestly, part of the reason why I think we kind of took off after COVID is because taking care of yourself and trying to be healthier became a lot more apparent. Like the importance of it became a lot more apparent because all these people with metabolic issues were getting sick with COVID, and I think people just took their health for granted. So I think COVID, in a way, it's funny because when COVID first happened, it was like, oh, everything's going to be virtual, and like a virtual gym is going to be the new way of fitness. And I was like, fuck, like how am I a brick and mortar business going to do this?
Yep.
And I was worried because everyone was setting up gyms in their home, and people were loving the at-home workouts, but it got old pretty quick, and
Yep.
I think you can get distracted in your own house, and especially you got kids or stuff going on at home. Like it's easy to start your workout and then get pulled away. So I think being able to leave work or leave home to go and work out somewhere became important again, and people put value on again the social aspect of it. It helps your mental health too, being able to connect with other people, especially post COVID when you're working from home, however many days a week. Being able to get out of the house and socialize and then do something good for your body and your mind just made too much sense. So, we have more people now hiring personal trainers or jumping into our classes, and it's like, what brought you here? It's like, I just need to get my health back in order. Like
Right.
I've let it go for too long. I've got grandkids or I've got kids now. I want to be able to enjoy my time with them and enjoy the second half of my life or the last 20, 30 years of my life. Something I've neglected for too long. I need to get my shit together, and they show up.
Well, it's definitely tough, right? You get to be 50. Like I'm not even a year away from being 50. Sean's already got through
God.
that. He's,
There we go. Throw it right under the bus. Hey, here we go.
Really, really
Here
bad.
we go.
But it's so hard, right? It's very, society has made it so it's easy to do nothing, right?
Everything's at the tip of your fingers.
Everything's in a device. Everything's a screen.
100%.
We're in this era where, now it used to be smoking that was killing so many people, and now it's arguably sitting.
100%.
Right?
It's like a disease, right?
We're not active. I remember I had both my hips replaced when I was 40, and I remember the surgeon saying to me, he goes, "Do you exercise?" I said, "Yeah, I'm kind of, 3-4 days a week, do
golf,
my
play hockey,
thing, do
whatever.
that stuff." He goes, "Okay, so you do that for an hour? What are you doing for the other 23?"
That's it.
And then it's like, okay, well, I sit for my job. I sit in meetings. I sit in my car.
I sit at home to
I
relax. I
sit-
sit for my meals. Like it just, like we sit way too much. So people are starting to realize that like movement is definitely the way of life. And honestly, it's the guys like Huberman and David Brecka and all these new like optimization kind of podcasts. Like human optimization has become its own like new, not new field. It's existed forever, but like people are focusing in on it now. It's like all this biohacking and like, how can I improve my sleep, my nutrition, my this, my that, my testosterone levels? Like it all kind of comes back to the basics and like fitness and moving. And it doesn't have to be working out. It can be anything.
Yeah.
But getting yourself moving is definitely the lowest hanging fruit that does the best for you as a human, as a person. So it's kind of put fitness like on a nice stage, and people are paying a little bit more attention to it now. So as scary as COVID was, getting to the other side of it, it kind of opened up people's minds and changed people's minds about what they're doing for their health. And in a world where everything is a click of a button away, yeah, we've kept hold on what's important, and that's, you know, providing fitness training for people, and it's been great. So
Even how we start and when we do it, right? I mean, I was just reading, you're talking earlier, and it was reminding me, I was reading this book, you probably noticed, Dr. Peter.
Tia,
Yeah.
he's awesome. Another great podcast. Forgot to mention him. He's amazing.
Fantastic.
Easy to listen to. He's a wealth
Listening
of
about
knowledge.
longevity. And
It's
then
amazing.
just the way we look at medicine. So rather than just waiting for something to happen to say, oh, your cholesterol is high, your blood pressure's high. That's how we look at it now. We wait until something happens.
And then you take a
then
drug
we do
prescribed
something.
from your doctor, right?
Right. Then we take a prescription. It's like, okay, how about we look at what's causing all that way earlier and actually do something about it? So you're talking about your retirement clients coming in, building this in their budget. And I'm thinking, wow, I bet you those people that do that probably have far better longevity,
Oh my God.
far better health in general, memory,
Yeah.
working ability,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to someone who's decided not paying attention to what I eat, not paying attention to how long I sleep, what my intake is, where I am from a levels perspective.
And you can see it. I mean, like the golf course is a great place to observe that, is like how many of the older people are taking a cart versus walking. You know, I look at my grandparents, and like they can barely move anymore. They're in their mid 80s, but there's people in their mid 80s that are walking 18, playing 18 4 or 5 times a week. And what's the difference between the two of them? One of them prioritized activity and their health, and the other just kind of let it go. And then it gets to a point where it's like, it's almost too late, right?
It's too much.
And Peter Attia has a really awesome concept. I think it's in his book that he wrote just recently, of like the last decade of your life and what you want that to look like. And if you want to be able to move around and play with your grandkids and this and that, it's like these are some of the milestones you need to hit before you get there. Because if you don't hit them, it's going to be almost too late by the time you get there. So, you know, all this talk about human optimization, biohacking, longevity has done wonders for our space because people are starting to pay attention. And it's also like our healthcare system fucking sucks here in Canada, right? It's obviously a massive issue for our country right now. And it's like, be proactive so you don't have to wait for that doctor or that image that's going to take 6 months or whatever it is, that specialist you need to see, because you let your life get so bad that the only help you have is a doctor who's just not able to see you right now. So it's like, get ahead of that and take care of yourself. So,
well, even so much, you know, you look at it and you say, okay, somebody that's in their 70s and they need a knee replacement or hip or anything. If you had been even moderate physical activity of some sort, your ability to recover is going far outweigh somebody that's just riding the couch, right? Like it's...
Yeah, like a knee replacement or hip replacement like yourself shouldn't be the moment in your life where it's like, fuck, now I'm done. It could be a moment of like, this is the next chapter for me, revitalize me a bit, but it all comes down to the work you put in before and the work you're going to put in after. And if you're not strong enough to put the work in afterwards, then that replacement might be the end of you. Or it might be now you're in a wheelchair, or now you've got a cane or a walker or whatever it is, right? You might be pain-free in that joint that you replaced, but your mobility is terrible now.
It's terrible.
Right? So it's about getting ahead of that. And yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that the world is focusing on that more. It's done wonders for our space. And at a time where I thought that our space was going to get crushed by virtual this and that, it's been more about the in-person than ever.
Well, it's funny, we're the same, right? It's like, people are automation's important, is big now, and all these abilities to use software, but there's never been a more important time to actually sit with a face-to-face, sit with somebody, do some planning. But I want to go back to, you were talking earlier about, the impacts that things you do now can have over the course of your lifetime. And that's obviously massive. But how do you feel about, there's obviously fad diets and like there's people trying to take shortcuts all the time. I'm not qualified, but you most likely are to speak on this. So it's like, how good or bad is that when you see someone saying, okay, I want to get from here to here faster, so I'm going to do fasting. Because that's been coming up a lot. Like
fasting.
in the past
Intermittent fasting.
in the past year, I've heard about it at least a half a dozen times from a lot of different people saying, "Hey, you should try this," or "Have you ever heard of this?"
I'm a believer that there's not one way of doing it, and I'm sure Peter T or Andrew Huberman would agree. Like, there's the carnivore diet, and there's the keto diet, and there's the vegan diet, and there's intermittent fasting, and then there's eating 5 meals a day. There's a million ways to do it. I think it's important to find something that suits your lifestyle, and why intermittent fasting has become so popular. How many people eat breakfast or take the time to make themselves a nice breakfast in the morning? Not many people. A lot of people skip that meal. So the idea that you can follow a diet or a diet plan that allows you to skip breakfast and eat in the afternoons or evenings fits a lot of people's lifestyle. And, as long as you're checking all the boxes by getting the right foods into you in the window that you're allowed to eat, it works. It works for people, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think if you're a very active person, again, our bodies are amazing machines that can adapt to pretty much anything that we put them to, whether it's restricted sleep or restricted food. Your body will learn to adapt. But I think, it's not as optimal for those that, let's say, you like to bike ride and you want to do the GATS every morning. Not eating breakfast, might be challenging. You're going to be a little bit lower energy.
Juice.
But again, your body will adapt after doing it for a while to do it. Intermittent fasting, I think, can be great for some people. I know a lot of people who do that, they'll just have a cup of coffee and a water in the morning, and then they don't eat till noon or 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock, whatever it is, depending on how early they start work. But it is, appealing, but it's also, it can go one of two ways. You can either like overeat within that period that you're allowed to eat, or you don't get enough of your calories in because the window is too small and maybe your appetite's not big enough to get all the necessary protein and carbohydrates and good fats in that you need. But I wouldn't knock intermittent fasting. I think some people, they don't eat until 1, and then they're a pig from 1 till 8, and then they go to bed and they're like, oh, why is my body not changing? Well, it's like, you're skipping breakfast. You're starting your first meal later in the day, but you're still eating like shit between 1 and 8 o'clock or whatever it is, right? So it's like you're doing it, but you're not really doing it. The idea is that your body, even as you go back, and I keep hitting this thing, you go back in time to the caveman days, they fasted a lot, right? They would fast, and they would hunt for their food, and that would, they would eat whatever the lion that they caught or whatever, and then they'd go fasting again, just kind of like animals in the wilderness, right? So like our body was meant to
they would
fast.
walk 100 kilometers back to where they live,
right? So
they didn't just turn on Netflix.
That's it. So like our lives aren't as comparable as to the caveman back then, but we did at one point do a lot of fasting before we would eat. So it is kind of like the original way of doing it is fasting, and it works for a lot of people. And there's science that shows that like it improves clarity, and it improves blood sugar regulation, and it improves your mood and your sleep and all that stuff, because you're not getting the constant spikes of the insulin throughout the day every time you eat. So there's a lot of research to back it up. I don't think it's for everybody, but I think there's a place for it, and there definitely can be a lot of success from it. So nothing against it. It just depends if it's
just how you use it.
Yeah, just how you use it, right? If you use it properly, I think it could be a winning recipe.
Same as Ozempic. Like Ozempic's the same. It's like, if there's people who clearly have health issues that are significant, that's a wonder drug because of their significant health issues.
Yeah.
But there's others that I've heard that I feel like
I'll just take Ozempic,
Right.
That'll fix me up.
I'm not going to commit to a lifestyle of diet. I'm not going to commit to improve my fitness, but I will take Ozempic.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's
I don't think I think if you're in dire need to take it, there's a place for it, but to take it as like a replacement for just improving your lifestyle and your diet, I don't think that's the smart way to go, but that's the life we live in. Whereas like if there's a shortcut, people are up to taking it, and that's where the pharmaceutical industry is making billions of dollars off people that just want to take the shortcut. Right.
Well, I know, I know in other circles in the medical world, there is a change happening, and it looks like, the Eli Lillies, the Novartis, these drugs are going to probably become like vitamins. Because what did you say earlier about our healthcare system?
Sucks.
It sucks. So what if we could give the person that is overweight something to improve blood flow, something to, take the strain off of the heart, right? And so we're in a really interesting time because Ozempic first became all about weight loss. And I'm pretty sure, based on everything I study and read, it's about to revolutionize medical care, right, in ways that we're not really thinking about right now. So it is really a bizarre time as to how this moves along, right? And I think it goes to say, kind of leads me into diversification of things, what you're doing, your business, your life, right? We, as wealth management advisors, we, eat, sleep, and breathe being diversified, right? Not
100%.
having all your eggs in one basket. And, when you look at your business, you have most certainly diversified over a 9-year period, right? And continue. And I think it goes to show how important it is to not be a one-trick pony, right?
100%. Yeah, you need, in the finance world, multiple sources of income, diversification of your assets. If one thing's not doing so well, you have other things to rely on, right? And if you rely too much on one thing, like you said, it could be the downfall of you. And health and finance are very similar in that way. You can't just rely on drugs. You can't just rely on the stock market. You got to diversify yourself and make sure you're covering your bases. So,
and there's not a lot of clinic, like, to your, to another pat on your back, like, you've brought in rehab, you've brought in therapists, you have group class, you have personal training, you have team training, you have all these different things going on. So you've really done a good job there of and looking at additional sources of revenue, right?
It took time to build one, and it's like, way back when it was like, hey, let's just try to get this one going, and then I'll move on to like the next one. And our most recent new one is like the baby and me classes with the mom and the baby. Yeah. I don't know if you see them because they're kind of in the afternoons or whatever, but like, what a market that is. Yeah, it's like for the size, it's like our best little source of income right now. It's like, wow. We only started this last year. I had no idea how it was going to go because I think one of our classes, 13 moms with 13 babies. How is that going to look? How is that going to look to other members? Are they all going to be screaming and crying? Is it going to be a shit show? But man, do moms ever appreciate that hour in the gym, something they can do with their baby, get to socialize with other moms. They get to get out of the four walls of their house. Like, there is so much value in it for moms, and it's hard to find programs for you and your kids within the city. So like we kind of tapped into this, and the word of mouth is insane. Like we've got a waiting list already for the next one that Lex is going to run. So it's really cool, and it's something I never would have thought of. But there's a niche there. There's a need there.
And you can teach your buddies too, right? You can say, "Hey, that baby did a bigger leg press."
Yeah. Oof. And then the moms are going from our baby class into our other classes, and then it's awesome. So just trying to always where can we get better? Where can we maybe create some business? Where is there a need for something? And I think at this point we have a lot of it covered. It's just, for me, just getting everybody who works for me as busy as possible with their client roster, and just trying to load them up and fill in the gaps where I can. And it's been really cool. We started out with pretty much just athletes, and now we kind of cover it all. So we become the one-stop shop that I always wanted us to become. It took time, but here we are. And you learn a lot of things along the way, and you make mistakes, and you figure out the best way forward. And we're still improving. We're not perfect by any means, but we've got a good thing going. We're on a good path, and we're diversified. That's for sure. Yeah.
Sounds like you built a great brand. Like a really.
I'm proud of it. Yeah. Place. Yeah, I'm proud of it. I mean, branding is is definitely kind of what gets you like that reputation that you stand out. Building the brand is not something that happens overnight. You got to keep plugging away and chipping away at it. But if you service your members or your clientele the right way, your brand kind of builds on its own in a way. You know, like people talk about it, people recognize it. You know, it's important to do all the clothing and stuff like that to get it out there. But what really grows your brand is people talking about it, right? Yeah. People talking about the work you do for them and how it's changed their life or how it's improved their life or, you know, how it's, you know, whatever, how it's gotten them to the goal. It's, you know, they lost their 30 pounds or they able to do their marathon faster. We have all kinds of different people in there with different goals, and it's it's special. It's certainly special.
I think it goes, you're echoing a lot of things that, business owners think about and consider, or people going into business, is that, you need to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a plan. You need to be, trying to keep yourself on target, trying to attain that goal, right? And giving yourself the space that there's going to be some hiccups, that there's going to be some issues, right? And it's not a straight line.
Never.
Right? It moves up and down, and shit happens, and things go wrong, and but if you stay to the plan, if you stay focused on the goal,
that's why having a plan is so important. Because it's like you just fall back to the plan. You just keep falling back to the plan, right? You just don't let yourself get distracted or off course. You stick to your plan, and your plan can you be adjusted, right? People who thought they're going to retire at 55, it's like, oh shit, this happened, I got to pay for this, can we extend it? You adjust the plan, but you always follow the plan, right?
Yep.
So yeah, it's awesome, the parallels between finance and fitness.
It's massive, right? You can't, and don't look at the short term. Like, you can't look at a year and say, well, I've been doing this for a year, and there's my result. It's just like, hey, you've only been working out for a year. You didn't work out for 30.
That's right.
Like, imagine what you're going to feel like in 2 years from now, or 3 years, or 5 years.
Keep hammering.
Same as wealth building. It's like,
keep hammering.
You've been saving for 1 year.
That's right.
It's 7% growth on $10,000 doesn't look great. No. 7% growth on $500,000 looks awesome.
It does.
But you don't get that.
The results
that first year.
With
That's
the
right.
Consistency and the patience, and you just sticking to it.
No, for sure.
Yeah, muscles and money, finance and fitness. There's lots of parallels in our world.
We'll have a fitness finance day or something.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Set up a little mini gym over.
Oh, yeah.
Capital over to give feats of strength. Exactly. Feats of strength. Yeah. That's good.
Festivus.
That's a good idea.
Well, Nick, we really appreciate you coming in today, and I think the listeners will get value from it. I believe, even the members of the club that listen, it's nice to hear the story. It's nice how you came to be, and I really, I've said it a few times, I really do enjoy what you've done and created, and it's I tell people again and again and again, and it's you've done a really awesome. You have a really awesome experience, environment, and people, and congratulations on the success you've had so far.
Appreciate the kind words, and I mean, hearing that just reassures me that what we're doing is good, and we're on the right path, because it's people like you that give us the gym that we have, right? It's just like members that appreciate the space and appreciate the service and appreciate the people that are within the building, and that's how we continue to grow, is just having people who recognize that we've got a special thing going. And it's not for everybody, but most people, they come in, they try it, and they feel at home there and quickly. So it's, it's great. And I appreciate the recognition and the time on the podcast. It's always nice to talk business and to tell the story a little bit, because a lot of people don't know the story, and it's not always sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of dark days. Like I said, a lot of days where I wanted to give up, but I'm glad I didn't, and just kind of kept my nose to the grindstone. And anyone who's struggling in business, just keep pounding away. If you got good people around you and you're working hard, things will eventually go your way. You're going to get thrown some bad cards, but you just it's just the way you deal with them, right? It's just, you got to keep pushing forward.
Press reset.
There you have it. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Pushing.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Push it in.
Push it in. That's it.
It's all good. Thanks again for being so open with us.
My pleasure, guys. My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. It's been a blast.
Take care.